Hello, welcome to The Good Life. This is going to be a fun episode where I'm actually going to use myself as an example for a lot of the content that I'm going to be teaching you. If you have been following me, if you are in my free group on Facebook, if you have done my program, maybe you don't know anything about me. A lot of you who do know me know a little bit about my story with sleep, but some of you might be hearing this for the first time. So I'm going to go over this. I have always been a fairly poor sleeper. Even when I was a kid, I struggled to sleep. I have gone through bouts where I have struggled with sleep. There were several instances in my adulthood. Most of them were related to work schedules and different work stressors, different lifestyle things that were happening where my sleep got really bad for quite a while. I had a set of circumstances, I will call it, that happened several years ago that really prompted me to learn about sleep and to continue learning about sleep. I had to put myself through a sleep program. I was sleeping quite poorly for quite a while. I was stressed. I was pretty devastated. I just could not figure out my sleep. I could not figure out my sleep. I was locked in an anxiety cycle about how my sleep wasn't going to improve. It was always going to be like this. I would start going to bed and knowing I was going to bed, and the stress cycle would start, and I would go to bed stressed out. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I would have to get up super early for work. At that point in time, I had to get up at 4 a.m. So I was stressed about having to wake up early, having to make it through my day. And the cycle just kept repeating and repeating and repeating. And finally, I had talked to doctors. I had been prescribed medication. I had talked to coaches. I had talked to everybody I could possibly know to talk to in my support system. And I could not get any real help, anything that moved the needle. So I got very desperate. I got very gritty. I was working as a counselor. I was like, you know what? I can figure this out. I know I can figure this out. And so I ended up finding a book based on 90s sleep science, but it had a little program in it. So I read the book. I read the program. I was like, I think I can put myself through this program. I think I can do this. And so I put myself through this sleep program based on this book, and then I added some different things to it. I did not change anything about my work schedule. I didn't change anything about the stressors in my life. I just put myself through this program, and I kept trying and trying and trying. And eventually my sleep improved a lot. I didn't realize it at the time, but I ended up doing this program for myself for 6 months. I went through my records and I found my sleep logs, because I would do a sleep log every morning and every night, which you do in my 8-week sleep program as well, but it's different from the one I was doing. It's better than the one I was doing. But I put myself through this program for 6 months and my sleep improved greatly. I still was able to stay at the job. My sleep got a lot better and it was wonderful. I didn't have to take the medications I was prescribed. I didn't really want to be taking those anyway. No hate on medications. I just didn't want that for myself. And after that, sets of circumstances happened. I ended up opening a private practice. I'm a mental health therapist. I've done this work now for 18 plus years. So I opened a private practice, and almost every client I worked with, they struggled with sleep. And so I had the opportunity to take CBT for insomnia, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia training. I did that. I learned that. I learned the protocols. That is the gold standard for sleep science. I took some other specialized trainings on sleep, anxiety, the brain. I took some mental health and nutrition trainings. I took a ton of trainings, and I started implementing these things with my clients and with myself, although my sleep was much better at this time, but I started implementing all these things and I was like, oh my gosh, these things are magic. You don't even have to change the crappy circumstances of your life. You just have to do these things that are scientifically proven to work and your sleep can improve. And so then I developed the program that I have now. I have this podcast. This is free, but I do have paid programs. I have a group coaching program. I have a self-study program. If you're a real go-getter, kind of like I was, you can go through and you can do it yourself. You don't need me to have a group session with or to help you through it. I also have a really high-level VIP program where you get direct access to me almost 24/7 to help you really figure out your sleep issues and improve your sleep. I have so much robust programming to help you with sleep. And it's based on science. It's based on only the things that work. And it's like the kind of work that you could spend years figuring out on your own, years in individual therapy, years of trial and error just put together in this like beautiful 8-week program. But anyway, that's what became my sleep struggle. So now, and for the last several years, like I'll have a bad night of sleep here and there, but overall, my sleep is amazing. I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do throughout my day. I know what I need to do in the evening before I go to bed. I know when not to go to sleep. I know when I can go to sleep. And my sleep is like complete 180 from what it was when my sleep was struggling. But my sleep was bad. When it was bad, it was bad. And I don't think people realize that because they're like, oh, Melissa sleeps great now. But there would be nights where like I wouldn't sleep. Like I laugh now, but I was not laughing then. I was crying. But nights that I wouldn't sleep and I would stay up all night and then I would go to work the next day and I would just power through work and then I would go to bed the next night and then sometimes I wouldn't even sleep that well the next night and it was terrible. But my sleep has improved greatly. One of the things though I want to talk about today is how to get great sleep back when your sleep has been good and then for some reason it's not good. This is the entire, I think it's week 7 of my program. The entire week 7 is relapse prevention. Weeks 1 through 6 is teaching you all the habits, all the structures, everything to help you get your sleep right, how to get your days right, how to get your sleep routine right so that your sleep can improve. And then you track your data throughout the program. Of course, you track your data to see that your sleep is actually improving. But then week 7 is all about relapse prevention. And this is the drug and alcohol counselor in me. This is the realistic counselor in me who knows, and you guys know this too. And I think we all get caught up in that mindset where things are going good and we just think they're going to go good forever. They're just going to keep going up. But no, life happens and then something happens and it goes down and then you can get it back up. But that's just how life is. It's like this. And hopefully it's like moving up in general. But sometimes it isn't. But the one thing I wanted to tell you is there are times where your sleep backslides. You regress. There's tons of reasons why this could happen. And it's very expected. This is an expected thing to have happen. But if you're not expecting it and you're like, oh my gosh, everything's great, it's never going to get bad again, and you're in that mindset, when it happens and you have a setback, you're not going to know what to do. So I think it was like 3 weeks ago, I was traveling. Okay. I live in South Dakota. I traveled to Riga, Latvia, which is 9 hours difference from the time here. We traveled a long time. I actually had an ear infection before I went, which I do think is a factor now in reflection. Like I wasn't feeling my best. We traveled like 37 hours to get there, got there, hit the ground running, did all the things to like beat the jet lag. But then that night I laid down and it was like I was back in those days where I was not sleeping well and I was devastated. I was like, no, this doesn't happen to me anymore. But guess what? It does. And so I ended up like getting very anxious, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to sleep. Oh my gosh, I have like a big day tomorrow. What am I going to do if I'm tired and on vacation? Like all those different things, right? That anxiety cycle, that stress cycle about sleep. Anyway, ended up sleeping a little bit. And that's the thing too, like there's tons of stuff that happens if you're not freaking out that's actually good for you at night that can help you rest, even if it's not sleep. But anyway, ended up sleeping, I think it was like 4 hours that night, which is pretty solid for a bad night of sleep. It's not 0, which is what I used to experience fairly frequently. But I ended up having a bad night of sleep. Whatever. Woke up the next day, got ready, went through the day, had a great day, got tons and tons of steps. Next night, another night where I struggled to sleep. And I was like, no, how can this be happening 2 nights in a row? This shouldn't be happening. I got caught up in those old mindsets, those old behaviors, those old patterns that I had. And I had to like dig myself out of them. I had to be like, you know what, Melissa, you're going to sleep well. This isn't forever. You're traveling. You're in a completely different continent. You're in a completely different time zone. You're also a little bit sick. That might be a factor. Even if you get a bad night of sleep, even if you sleep 0 hours, you're still going to have a good day tomorrow. It is possible. All of those things I had to pull from like the depths of my knowledge. Actually, I know them, but I didn't have to apply them like I had to back in the day when I was changing my sleep. And I don't have to apply them really when my sleep is going well. But these 2 nights, I was like, no, this is like exactly the kind of stuff I unlearned, and my life has improved so much. How is it happening again? But it did happen, and it happened for 2 nights. The rest of the trip after that was amazing. I kept waking up in the morning, having full days, getting exposure to sunlight, exercising, eating and fueling properly, not relying on caffeine, not drinking a bunch of alcohol, doing all the things that we know are going to help with our sleep. And then after those 2 nights, it completely reversed. I slept great. I slept great. I slept great for the rest of the trip. But it was really nice in retrospect. When it was happening, it wasn't very nice, but it was really nice in retrospect to have that opportunity because I know I was there. I was there for a long time. I'd been there at other points in my life too. I know a lot of you are there. The clients I work with are there. They're so stressed about their sleep. They have so much anxiety about their sleep. They don't even really know exactly what to do. Like, they're trying their best. I know you guys are all trying their best. Nobody's trying to set up for a crappy night of sleep. No one is doing that. But I was back in that after I got a couple nights of sleep. I was like, this is actually a really positive thing that I had this experience. I got to go back to what it felt like. I was experiencing it. It wasn't even really just what it felt like. I was in it again. And it gave me so much perspective on, number one, what I had been through, what you guys are going through, what we can get back into. You're not always going to have a great night of sleep. Sleep is so important, number one, but it is so important if you are sleeping poorly to get help. Okay, it doesn't have to always be me. Like, I have a sleep program. It's a coaching program. It's not therapy. So it is a coaching program. So it is accessible to anybody in the world who wants to do it. You could do a program like that. You could do it self-study. You could do it with me. You could do it in the group program. You could reach out to somebody who also does this type of work. But it is possible to improve your sleep. And I was right back in it. I was like, oh no, is this going to be my life? No, it's not going to be your life, Melissa. It's going to be a couple of days because it's possible that happens. But there are lots and lots of things you can do to improve your sleep. I wanted to talk about how to get back to great sleep after you stop sleeping well. Hopefully through that story, you were able to pull out the things that I did that were helpful. What I didn't do is completely freak out and give up and think that my sleep is always going to be terrible. I didn't explode my days of travel. I woke up, I hit the road, I did the things that I would do, even if I was fully rested. I still did those things, and I trusted my body that if I do the right things over and over, yeah, it was a bummer to have to do them for a couple of days. It would have been nice, clearly, if it didn't happen at all, but it could have been nice if it was only one night, but it was 2. But I made it through it. I did the right things. My sleep got back on track. And so a lot of people, they get in that anxiety and that stress cycle about their sleep. Number one, they don't know what to do. Number 2, they give up completely because it doesn't work right away. We don't want to do that. And so I want to encourage you to know that you can get back to great sleep even after you have a setback. And then don't give up. And if you are stuck, reach out for help, because there are programs like mine. Other people help with sleep too. There are things that you can do to get your sleep back on track. And you do not have to settle for a life of poor sleep, okay? Sleep is the foundation of everything. If you settle for a life of poor sleep, it's like building a house in sand. You're just not going to feel as great as you could. And I want people to know that your sleep can improve, even if you have setbacks, even if it improves for a little while and then you have a setback, it can improve. And it can be like this, but it can improve if you do the right things. So reach out to me if you are wanting to improve your sleep. I'm here for you because I have a coaching program. I can work with anybody in the world. This podcast is free. It's always here.